You would not have a top 5 greatest teams the last 30 years and not put the greatest show on turf on that list. What was so innovative about what you guys were doing with that offense?
Well, when I went there, we were really good on defense. They were a top 5 team, and they were a pressure team, got the ball back for the offense a lot. It gave us so many opportunities. And what we did is we did not go through, there was a kind of a norm in the league at that time. You play with 2 tight ends or a tight end and 2 backs, and it was fairly generic. Everybody kind of ran the same thing. We didn't do that. We come out on first down with 4 wide receivers and might run it, we might throw it. So we were a contradiction for the league, really. And I think that kind of unsettled everybody and gave us a little bit of a leg up.
It sounds a little bit like I've read many stories about Bill Walsh in San Francisco. That team kind of caught the NFL off guard a little bit. Would you say there's an analogy there where defenses took time to figure out what to do against you guys?
Yeah, the thing about it is that made us different than everybody else is we didn't do the same thing twice. So, defense is all about play recognition, set recognitions. We didn't do any of that stuff. Bill Belichick told his assistants, Bill told me this, he said, we went up there and played him on a Sunday night in 01, and his defensive coordinators were going over what they'd seen, and he says, you might as well put that away. You're not going to see it again. And that's true. So you got these guys, these defensive assistants taking off game film about all these plays and stuff, and we don't run it again. So what do they practice against? And that's what made us difficult, because there wasn't anything that they could, what are you going to take away? You got to take away a player instead of a scheme.
Coach, how did you kind of figure out, and I remember watching the movie about Kurt Warner, in that sort of training period, how did you figure out the right guys for that scheme? Like, what were you looking for?
Well, it wasn't so much that we went and got the right guys. It was a perfect storm. I was sitting at my desk in the spring there when I came over from Washington, and one of the vice president there came down and said, what would you think if we get Marshall Faulk? And I said, come on, don't. So, and then Torrey Holt, it was he and another receiver they were trying to pick between, and we picked the right guy. We picked Torrey. So in the draft that year, and the biggest thing we did we retooled the offensive line, which was just totally dysfunctional. Guys were not playing in the right place, and Big Freddie was playing a guard. He's 6'6", 320. He needs to be the right tackle, kind of thing, And Mike Grudadori was a guard. He was small at 285. We made him the center. So we moved Ryan Tucker, although we moved him around. The guy we didn't touch was Orlando, and that was where everything started.
And he was just one of, we believe, 4 Hall of Famers. It was Orlando Pace, Kurt Warner, Marshall Faulk, and Isaac Bruce. I mean, Torrey Holt has been very close. It was a stacked team. It deserves to be on this list, obviously. And Mike Martz is good enough to join us here on the Maggie and Perloff show. So, okay, you have this greatest show on turf, but can we talk to you a little bit more about who else is on our list? Because we have a top 5 list of greatest, and we'd love to get your thoughts on it. So 5 on our list was the 1995 Dallas Cowboys. So this only goes back 30 years to 1993. So we put the 95 Cowboys on over the 93 Cowboys. We have the 2013 Seattle Seahawks, the Legion of Boom. Then we have you guys, the greatest show on turf Rams. Number 2 on our list, the 94 49ers. And number 1 on our list, Coach, is the 2007 New England Patriots. We know they lost the Super Bowl to the Giants, but that was a record-setting year. We still believe they're the greatest team of the last 30 years. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's accurate. There's no question about it. They lost the Super Bowl. It was a close one. It kind of a freak thing happened there, but I don't think there's any question that they were the best team, or in the last 30 years. In my mind, they probably were. I tell you, our 01 team, I think, was a great football team. Mm-hmm. And what people don't realize, our 99 team, we lined up against the weakest schedule in the league. Our 01 team, we had the toughest schedule in the league. We opened up with Philadelphia, who we ended up playing in the NFC Championship. And San Francisco, we played them twice that year, and they'd won 12 games that year. And on and on. We played the Jets up in New York. At the time, they were undefeated. We beat them. And we played New England in New England and beat them. So these are all playoff teams, and that schedule, when it came out that year, got my attention, and it was going to be hard. But, the disappointment, obviously, in the Super Bowl, had we not lost that Super Bowl, I don't think there's any question to be one of the top 5.
Do you think that 01 team was better than the 99 team? Because yes, you do.
Yes,
yes
I do.
We've had a lot.
There's no question about it. You just look at the challenges they had, who we played against,
right?
And go back and look at the teams that we played in '99, and that doesn't mean we weren't good in '99. We're certainly a good team, but we progressed too. And defensively, we're totally different. And I think we're 2 or 3 in the league on defense, and number 1 on offense. And we lost our right tackle going into that Super Bowl, and we just couldn't get past that.
And obviously that Super Bowl against the Patriots came down to last-second play. Now, we've had a lot of people who have called us up today, and they said, how could you put the Patriots on the list with all the allegations of the cheating and, videotaping and stuff like that? Now, that didn't obviously factor into our decision. Should it have?
Well, I don't know. That's up to you guys. Until you can prove that stuff, I have some thoughts about that I wouldn't share with you, but
about 01?
It's just the way it is, but regardless of all that, they were that good. So.
All right. Another team on the list, I'll get you off the hook there. The 90s Cowboys. You entered the league in the early 90s. And, we were looking at the Super Bowl teams. They were 12-4, 13-3, 13-3. They were really, really good, but we had trouble picking out one year that was so dominant for that team. Do you remember a particularly dominant Jimmy Johnson Cowboy team?
I think we played them in 92 or 93. We might have been the only loss they had that year in the regular season. I can't remember now. But anyway, they were unbelievable. We played them down there, and we actually beat them. One was at the Rams with Ernie Zampese, but they were rolling. They were undefeated when we beat them. I was just amazed by how good they are. The one thing they did so well, they're great on defense, but offensively, they take the ball away from me. You just could never get it back. You're going to get back on a kickoff,
Oh, because it's style of play, the running. You mean, they weren't.
Yeah, I mean, here's their running back coach. I asked him because we wanted to run this downhill lead play that they ran, and they tore the league up with it. But the guy that was carrying the ball made the difference. And I asked him, I said, well, when the safety comes down, who's going to block that safety there? Oh, he belongs to Emmett. We don't worry about him. So, if you get Emmett, those things kind of work too. So, but anyway, that offensive line was absolutely dominant. I don't know if we'll see one like that.
Mike Martz is our guest. He's kind enough to carve out some time for us today as we're going through our top 5 greatest NFL teams of the last 30 years. And according to him, the 01 Rams should be the ones who are on this list, maybe not the 99 Rams. You're the offensive coordinator for that Super Bowl winning team, and we're so appreciative of getting your perspective here. So we left off the 2019 Chiefs. Not because we might be in the midst here of a Kansas City dynasty or something close to that, but we left off that team. How bad is that going to look, do you think, in retrospect, if we revisited this list in, say, 5 years?
Well, I think the Chiefs will go to number 1. I really do. The only thing that keeps them out of there right now is their defense. They're just not very good on defense. They're a middle-of-the-pack defense at best. The offense can overcome so much because he's so good, and they do such a great job of coaching there. And, as they get better talent on defense, they continue to improve, with people on defense, which they've done the last year or two. Then they'll really become a dominant team. They're already dominant, but when their personnel gets a little bit better and they've come a long ways in the last 3 years on defense, there's no question I think they'll end up being at the top.
Coach, do you have to be a running quarterback to be the absolute elite quarterback? If you were going to design a quarterback for today's game, does he have to have the ability to run?
Well, it depends on who you have around him, I think. We had 4 terrific receivers. Why would we want him to run? We had Marshall Faulk. I mean, what's he going to do? You know what I mean? So I think it depends on, it's layered. It's very complicated, but it depends on who you're surrounding him with too. The one thing I do know, in order to win championships in this league, you have to have a terrific passer. That's it. I mean, you're not going to win it all unless you've got a great passer. There's been an exception. Baltimore was an exception, but they were so overwhelming on defense that, that was an anomaly. But by and large, when you go back and look at the 5 top quarterbacks of all time, and they're just great passers. And the first 3 or so weren't even drafted in the first round, which would tell you something too.
Do you think Lamar Jackson can get to the point where he can be a great passer and win a Super Bowl?
I don't know, because they don't have a lot of receivers around him, and just kind of by the nature of what they do, I don't know how good at processing things, and that's the key: how quick you can process, read and react, and he certainly can throw the ball well enough. Would never doubt that, but the key to everything, that Joe Montana or the Brady and Mahomes, is what they see and can react to correctly is remarkable in such a short period of time. I don't know if he has that.